Russia, Vladimir Putin, will be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously, so we've thought about it carefully over many months.
Vladimir Putin. Do you have a comment on either the interview or that allegation?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not a comment, or absolutely not that?
Absolutely not a comment, to be more clear, period. It's a ridiculous premise and a ridiculous statement that was made.
Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and has depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy.
News personality Tucker Carlson is in Moscow, and the Kremlin confirms he has just conducted an interview with Vladimir Putin. As Les Trent reports, the sit-down is being much criticized here at home.
The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are crucial.
The newspapers, radio, television, motion pictures are under state control. No dissent or opposition is allowed in the public media.
Yes.
Nosotros no tenemos la misma concepción.
We do not have your same conceptions.
Nosotros no tenemos el concepto de libertad de
Our
prensa.
concept of freedom of the press is not yours.
Desde luego, se lo digo con toda
And I say this very honestly.
no tengo que ocultar absolutamente
I
nada.
have nothing to hide.
Si nos pregunta que aquí puede aparecer un periódico,
If you ask us if a paper could appear here against socialism, I could say honestly, no, it
no
cannot
lo
appear.
permitirá ni el
It
partido,
would not be allowed by
ni
the
el
party,
gobierno,
the government,
ni el
or
pueblo.
the people.
En ese sentido,
Okay.
no poseemos
In that sense,
la libertad.
we do not
de prensa
have
que
the
poseen
freedom of the press that you possess in the U.S.
Fidel Castro there speaking with American journalist Barbara Walters in 1977.
Corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they've done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved.
Is in Moscow right now interviewing Vladimir Putin. Right. The first American, I'll say, journalist to interview Putin since the war in Ukraine began. What does that tell you about Tucker Carlson and right-wing media and also Vladimir Putin?
Well, it shows me what I think we've all known. He's what's called a useful idiot. I mean, if you actually read translations of what's being said on Russian media, they make fun of him. I mean, he's like a puppy dog. You know, he somehow has, after having been fired from so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with a Russian outlet because he is a useful idiot. He says things that are not true. He parrots Vladimir Putin's pack of lies about Ukraine. So I don't see why Putin wouldn't give him an interview.
She wearing a straitjacket patch? She has buckles on her. Like, what?
So how do you process this, Tom? What are you at with this here?
Well, first of all, remember the first rule
of liberal attack in the medium, accuse the other guy of what you're already doing.
We want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform.
I feel guilty, like I'm betraying my country for saying that. I'm not. I love America. This is a really nice city, and I don't care. It's true.
Megyn Kelly is coming to Carlson's defense today, pointing out that he's not the first American to interview Putin, including her.
I don't know when the new rule got handed down that we only get to interview the good guys. It's very wacky. Let's just wait to see what the interview looks and sounds like before we
in this conflict. Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States platform X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.